call me Ishmael. Just 3 words, right? But wow, they pull you straight into this massive world. Welcome, everyone, to the deep dive.
Yeah, those words are iconic. And today, we're diving into a real giant of literature, Herman Melville's Moby Dick.
Exactly. And our mission really is to navigate you through this sprawling story. We'll be hitting the main plot points, looking at these incredible characters.
Pulling out some key insights, maybe some surprising bits from the text. We're not just summarizing, though. We want to dig into why this story about, a captain and a whale,
Yeah.
why it still grabs people.
Okay, so let's start with Ishmael himself. Why is he going to sea? It's not for the usual reasons, like money or fame, is it?
No, not at all. And that's what's so interesting right from the get-go. He says he feels this peculiar need to escape the land. He even calls going to sea his substitute for pistol and ball.
Wow, so it's heavy stuff from the start. It's like an escape from despair.
Pretty much.
Mhm.
It feels deeply personal, almost psychological. He's not just after adventure. He's running from something on land or maybe trying to find something else entirely out there. And he specifically wants to be a simple sailor, not a passenger.
Right, avoiding the hassles. And the setting kind of matches that mood, doesn't it? New Bedford sounds pretty grim.
Oh, yeah. Melville paints it with these dreary streets, blocks of blackness. It sets a certain tone, definitely somber. But then he shifts focus to Nantucket.
Ah, Nantucket, that looms large in whaling history.
It does. Melville calls it the birthplace of American whaling, mentions the red men hunting the Leviathan there first. So he's grounding this, epic, almost mythical quest in some real history.
Okay, so Ishmael gets to New Bedford, needs a place to stay, and ends up at the Spouter Inn, which leads to, well, quite an introduction.
But, yeah, the Queequeg encounter.
Yes.
It's brilliant. Comical, but genuinely terrifying for Ishmael at first.
Describe him a bit. What does Ishmael see?
Well, Ishmael sees this guy, Queequeg, who's covered in tattoos, carrying this little wooden idol he calls Yojo, and he's got a tomahawk that doubles as a pipe. Ishmael is, understandably, freaked out.
Understandable. So prejudice kicks in immediately.
Big time. Ishmael's first reaction is pure fear and bias. But the landlord kind of reassures him, and slowly Ishmael starts to see past the surface, past his own unwarrantable prejudices.
And he starts to notice Queequeg's, lofty bearing?
Exactly. And we learn Queequeg is from Rokovoko. This island, Melville says, is not down in any map. True places never are, which is just a fantastic line.
Love that line. It adds so much mystery. And Queequeg isn't just some savage, is he? He has his own motivations.
Right. He actually came to Christendom because he wanted to learn to see the world beyond his island. Even it meant putting up with being seen as, ignorant or strange.
Like that story with the punch bowl.
Yeah. The anecdote where he washes his hands in a punch bowl at a fancy dinner, thinking it's a huge finger glass. It's funny, shows the cultural gap, sure, but it also highlights his sincerity, his curiosity. He's trying to understand.
And their bond really gets cemented later on the ship called the Moss, right? There's a storm.
The sunstorm hits, a man gets swept overboard, and it's Queequeg, without a second thought, who dives in and saves him. Just heroic.
And then he says that amazing line.
We cannibals must help these Christians.
Yeah.
Just completely flips everything on its head. It's powerful. That moment really seals their friendship, cutting through all of Ishmael's remaining prejudice.
It shows who has the real, moral compass in that moment.
Precisely. Actions over labels. So after this, Queequeg trusts Ishmael completely. He even consults his little idol Yojo, and then tells Ishmael that he alone has to choose the whaling ship they'll sail on.
A big responsibility. Yeah. And the ship he picks is the Pequod.
The Pequod. And she sounds like she's been through it. Melville describes her as this rare old craft, kind of small, weather-stained, seen typhoons and calms of all 4 oceans. Her bows look bearded.
Bearded bows. So she's old, seasoned, maybe a bit ominous.
Definitely suggests a long, hard history and probably a difficult future. She's a veteran ship for a veteran hunt.
So Ishmael signs on. He meets the owners, Captain Peleg and Bildad. They sound like characters themselves.
Oh, they are. Peleg is sort of blustery and loud. Bildad is this queer old Quaker, very pious but also stingy. And they ask Ishmael why he wants to go whaling.
And his answer is pretty straightforward, isn't it?
Yeah, refreshingly simple. He just wants to see what whaling is and to see the world. Pure curiosity. Peleg kind of scoffs at his previous experience in the merchant service.
Right, like this is the real deal, not just hauling cargo.
Exactly. This is about confronting the wild, the deep. It's a different kind of journey.
Which brings us inevitably to Captain Ahab. He's not around at first, is he? The ship sails, but Ahab stays hidden.
For several days, yeah. It builds this incredible suspense. The mates, Starbuck, Stubb, and Flask, they seem to be in charge, but Melville tells us their orders are vicarious.
Meaning they're just acting on Ahab's behalf, even though he's not seen.
Exactly. His presence, his will, is already controlling the ship, even from behind his cabin door. It establishes him as this overwhelming force before we even lay eyes on him.
And when he does appear, quite the entrance.
Oh, yeah. Finally, he comes out onto the quarterdeck, described as looking like he's made of solid bronze. And then there's the leg, the ivory leg.
Made from a whale's jawbone, right? Lost in an encounter with a whale.
That's the story. And the crew's reaction is immediate. They see him, they watch him pace, and they think he's mad, queer. They notice he barely sleeps.
So the madness is apparent right away.
It seems so. There's something deeply unsettling about him from the moment he appears. His physical scar reflects this huge internal wound.
And then we get the name, Moby Dick. Tashtego, one of the harpooneers, confirms it. What's so special about this whale?
Well, it's not just that he's a white whale. Melville gives him these extraordinary attributes. Unexampled, intelligent malignity.
Malignity, like evil intent.
Yes, an intelligence behind it. Plus, he's known for his ubiquity, seeming to be everywhere at once, and this perceived immortality. He survived countless attacks.
So he's less an animal, more a force of nature, or something even more.
Absolutely. He becomes this symbol, this almost supernatural entity. And we learn that this is the very whale that took Ahab's leg. That encounter is the source of his mania.
His monomania.
Right. Melville says his full lunacy subsided not, but deepeningly contracted.
Yeah.
He focused entirely on this one whale. It's not just revenge, it's an obsession that has completely consumed his entire being.
It's terrifying, actually, how one event can just warp someone so completely.
It is. And Ahab makes it clear this isn't just his quest anymore. He takes out a gold coin, a Spanish doubloon.
And nails it to the mast.
Nails it to the mainmast. A reward for the first man to spot the white whale, Moby Dick. And then he makes a crew swear this oath, drink from their harpoon sockets, pledging to hunt Moby Dick down.
He sweeps them all up in his madness. Do they have any choice?
It doesn't really feel like it. They get caught in his fervor, his charisma, maybe his sheer force of will, though some are uneasy. Starbuck, the first mate, mutters, "God keep me."
A voice of reason, maybe? Or just fear?
Probably both. And then there's that mysterious figure, Fadala, the Carsey, who's part of Ahab's secret boat crew. He gives Ahab this strange prophecy.
About how Ahab will die.
Yeah, involving hearses not made by mortal hands, and that hemp only can kill thee, which Ahab twists to mean he's basically immortal, since hemp means the gallows, and how could he be hanged at sea?
The danger of misinterpreting prophecies, it just fuels his obsession.
Totally. It blinds him to the real danger, the doom that seems to be gathering around the ship.
So the hunt is on, and Melville gives us these detailed glimpses of whaling life, like standing watch on the masthead.
Right? Hours and hours of solitary lookout. And Melville warns about the danger up there, not just falling, but getting lost in thought, becoming a dreamy Platonist who forgets the practical task of spotting whales.
You need to stay focused in that world.
Absolutely, and that practicality extends to knowing the whales themselves. Melville includes this whole section, kind of playfully called cetology.
The science of whales.
Yeah, he classifies them like books folio for the biggest ones, like the sperm whale, octavo for medium ones, duodecimo for the small guys. It shows the incredible detailed knowledge these whalemen had.
It wasn't just brute force, it was a specialized skill. And the sperm whale is the main prize.
Definitely. The most formidable and the most valuable because of its oil and spermaceti, much more so than the right whale. This context makes Ahab's focus on one specific sperm whale even more irrational.
Right, they're supposed to be hunting any valuable whale. Okay, so then the actual chase sounds incredibly dangerous.
Oh, it's chaos. Lowering the boats, rowing frantically, the harpooner making the strike, the whale diving or fighting back. Melville describes Stubb's kill, the way everyone shifts places in the boat. It's precise choreography in the midst of mortal danger.
And if they kill one, then comes cutting in.
Which turns the ship into basically a floating slaughterhouse, a shamble. They hoist huge strips of blubber aboard, stripping it like peeling an orange, Melville says. It's messy, brutal work.
And dangerous even then. I remember something about sharks.
Yeah, sharks swarm the carcass. And Queequeg is mentioned as being fearless, literally pushing sharks away with his feet while he's working on the whale tethered alongside.
Incredible nerve. But the biggest danger is maybe the whale line itself.
Always. That rope attached to the harpoon runs out at incredible speed if the whale dies. Get tangled in that and you're gone. Melville has that chilling line, All men live enveloped in whale lines.
Like we're all connected to something that could pull us under at any moment. That's a powerful metaphor.
It really is. It speaks to fate, danger, the thin line they walk between life and death every single day.
And they encounter other ships, right? Which helps spread the legend of Moby Dick.
Yes, these encounters, called gams, are crucial. Ships meet in the middle of the ocean, exchange news, letters, and stories. And increasingly, the stories involve Moby Dick, building his reputation across the whaling fleets.
Like the story of the Town Ho.
Exactly. Ishmael recounts this tale told by another ship. It's this intense drama within a drama about mutiny, conflict between a sailor named Steelkilt and the mate Radney.
And Moby Dick gets involved.
Right at the climax. Radney falls into the sea, and Moby Dick appears and, well, takes care of him. It makes the whale seem like this instrument of fate or even justice. It adds another layer to his mystique.
Wow. So back on the Pequod, we also meet the carpenter. He seems like an interesting, functional character.
Very functional.
Yeah.
Almost machine-like. Melville describes him working by this deaf and dumb, spontaneous, literal process. He fixes things, builds things, including Ahab's replacement ivory legs. He just does the job, no questions asked.
A sort of symbol of practical necessity amidst all the madness.
Perhaps. A foil to Ahab's obsessive, destructive drive. And the carpenter gets another grim task later on.
Ah, when Queequeg gets sick.
Yeah, Queequeg falls terribly ill, seems near death. So much so that he asks the carpenter to build him a coffin, specifying the type of wood and dimensions.
He has his own coffin made, while still alive.
Yes. But then amazingly, he just decides not to die. He rallies, recovers his strength, and the coffin becomes his sea chest instead. It's bizarre, a bit funny, but also shows his incredible life force.
Unpredictable, like everything else in this story. Okay, so things are heading towards the inevitable confrontation. Ahab's getting worse.
Completely losing it. He becomes obsessed with navigation, but in a controlling way. He smashes the ship's quadrant, the tool for finding latitude, because he feels it mocks him. He even tries to remagnetize the compass needle when lightning affects it, shouting about being lord over the level lodestone.
He's trying to control nature itself, rejecting the tools of reason for pure will.
Exactly. His madness is peaking. He's relying solely on his own internal compass, which is pointing only at Moby Dick.
And then they find him.
The cry goes out, Moby Dick is sighted, and it's just pure, relentless chaos. The boats are lowered. The chase is on over 3 days.
3 days.
A 3-day chase. And Moby Dick is furious, described as combinedly possessed. He fights back with incredible power, smashing boats, attacking the ship itself. It's less a hunt now and more a battle to the death.
And Ahab's final moment, that famous speech.
Right before he throws his final harpoon, it's pure defiance, pure hatred. Towards thee I roll, thou all-destroying but unconquering whale, to the last I grapple with thee. From hell's heart I stab at thee, for hate's sake I spit my last breath at thee.
Chilling, just absolute consuming hate.
It's the ultimate expression of his obsession. And then he throws the harpoon, the line wraps around his neck, and he's pulled into the sea after the whale.
Gone in the ship.
Moby Dick rams the Pequod. It sinks. And Melville gives us this final devastating image. An eagle gets tangled in Ahab's flag as it's being nailed back to the mast, and the bird, the flag, the ship, everything goes down together. Then all collapsed.
Just silence. Only Ishmael survives, clinging to Queequeg's coffin.
Yeah, saved by the very object built for death. The irony is thick.
So, wrapping this up, this deep dive really shows it's so much more than an adventure story, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's a deep look at obsession, human limits, the sheer power of nature, the complexities of good and evil, fate versus free will. It's all in there.
The aha moment, maybe, is realizing how Melville uses this gritty, realistic setting of whaling to explore these huge philosophical and psychological themes.
Precisely. The hunt for the whale becomes this vessel for exploring, the darkest parts of the human soul, our capacity for self-destruction, our place in the universe.
It makes you wonder why these stories of grand, maybe impossible, often destructive quests keep compelling us.
It's a great question. Maybe they tap into something fundamental about ambition, desire, or even our fear of the unknown, the uncontrollable.
Which leads to a final thought for you listening out there. What's your white whale? Is there some goal or maybe even obsession in your life that perhaps like Ahab you're pursuing without fully realizing the cost?
Yeah, what seemingly simple goal might hide something deeper, more all-consuming. Definitely something to mull over.
Food for thought. Join us next time for another deep dive.